Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? Welcome to the show. My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater, and today, of course, is June 29th, 2021. It's, again, another big day of movie news. A lot of stuff coming out of the Knives Out 2 casting. We're seeing reports today that Jada Pinkett Smith has now been cast in the movie, that Ethan Hawke has now been cast in the movie, and a lot of other people are apparently in the movie that's now shooting. So what I find to be really funny about that has everything to do with the fact that I see all of these reports. Exclusive! Ethan Hawke has just been cast in Knives Out 2. And then I look over and there's a photo of Ethan Hawke on the set of Knives Out 2 shooting something into Dave Bautista's mouth. And I'm like, yeah, he was cast months ago. They are just now putting out that information. This isn't like big deals of things, I guess. But yet some people out there are really trying to argue that it's something massive. I don't know. Some people might argue that it's a bit of a slow news day. But what happened was we did get the first, you could say, critical looks at Black Widow. The big review embargo lifted today, and approximately 86 reviews dropped for Rotten Tomatoes, and a lot of other ones did as well. So what we know about that at this point in time is that Rotten Tomatoes is saying that Black Widow's doing pretty good. According to it here, it's sitting at an 86% based off of 83 reviews. Sorry, I said 86, with the critical consensus of Black Widow's deeper themes are drowned out in all the action, but it remains a solidly entertaining standalone adventure that's rounded out by a stellar supporting cast. So it's a Marvel movie. Look, I'm a Marvel movie fan. You're never going to get me to talk anything other than probably really good things about Marvel. But yes, it is homogenized. And yes, it is formulaic. And yes, we all know that at this point in time. So something like this just comes across as like, okay. You know, I don't really look at these reviews as being anything of massive importance. And the reason why has everything to do with the fact that the movie comes out in simply a couple days and we're all going to go see it one way or another. Whether you're going to pay the money to go watch it in theaters, you're going to drop the $30 to watch it on Disney Premiere, or you're going to go on the internet and sail the high seas, which I don't recommend or support or endorse. But I mean, let's be fair, it's a legitimate thing people are going to do. People are going to watch Black Widow. Is it going to make $1 billion in the theater? Probably not. Is it going to do well overseas? Most likely. Is it going to do well domestically? Absolutely. People are wanting to get back to the theaters. Fast and Furious 9 is a great example of that. The loyalty, the longevity of the franchise, and the love that the fans have for the franchise are clearly going to push people towards watching something like this in theaters. I know I intend on watching it in theaters first, and then if I like it a lot, then I might consider picking it up for home viewing, even though I'm not the biggest fan of all that. Like, I think Disney should like subtract my ticket price, confirmed ticket price sales from that $30 premiere thing. I don't know. It's kind of weird if you ask me, but at the same time, it is one of those things where business is business and, you know, they're always going to do what they're going to do. This is Disney for you. It's never going to change. So moving on into more Disney Marvel Cinematic Universe news, we got an interesting confirmation today. So just the other day, we finally got a look at Shang-Chi, and at the end of that trailer, we see something that appears to be Tim Roth's Emil Blonsky as Abomination. This is something that was confirmed with the closed captioning on the trailer showing Abomination roaring, and a lot of people were losing their mind. Like, we're finally getting more Hulk characters, you know, I mean, yeah, it's been a long time. It's 2008 to 2021. 13 years since we saw Emil Blonsky, and apparently, you know, they're wanting to bring him back, which is great. And also he's fighting Wong in that particular kind of Fight Club scenario. So that's going to be an interesting little situation to see play out. Because again, I think everything is kind of leading to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness to kind of round out phase 4, or at least to kind of wind it down or build it up into phase 5. But the thing is, this comes from Kevin Feige. Feige himself just kind of randomly confirmed this. Like, yeah, I'm going to give you guys bits of information because I think he knows what the audience wants at this point in time. They want to see something that's going to move things forward. Obviously, the success of WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier and Loki is pretty high, and people out there are very excited for the future of the MCU. But Black Widow is kind of something in the past, right? It doesn't really move the needle forward for Natasha Romanoff's character, obviously. And some of the reviews I saw at least summarized it as saying that it's a good setup for Yelena Belova and continuing her version of the Black Widow going forward into these movies. And again, I kind of get what they're going for here, but people really do want to see what's going to be coming next. And by bringing in another kind of long forgotten MCU character, in this case, a villain, into the mix, especially while we're getting ready to, while they're filming right now, She-Hulk, I think just makes a lot of sense. It'll be very cool to see what exactly is going to be happening over on that front. So jumping over into science fiction franchise news that I'm excited for, Vin Diesel's been talking a lot recently. Fast and Furious 9 came out and apparently is just as dumb and stupid and crazy and fun and awesome and amazing as you want it to be. At least that's what I keep hearing. Hopefully I can go see it this week. Now that the heat's finally broken, I can maybe get out of my house without feeling like I'm going to die. But Vin Diesel has been talking about another franchise as well, and that of course is the long-rumored, long-fabled, long-awaited RIDDICK 4. We just hit like 20 years since Pitch Black came out last year. I picked up the 4K when Arrow released it. It looks amazing in the transfer, and I absolutely love that movie, as well as 2004's Chronicles of Riddick. 2013's Riddick, I think, was a kind of a soft reboot. It felt like a little bit of just I don't know, a retelling of Pitch Black, but it was still fun. Not my favorite one, but it was still fun. But apparently, David Twohy and Vin Diesel are still wanting to get Furia off the ground. We did get like an Instagram post from Vin Diesel, I think sometime in 2019, that showed the front page of the script, and he was like sitting at home and reading it. And so obviously people were talking about it then, but even now he's talking about how it's getting ready to get together, but we probably won't be getting it for a while. And that has everything to do with the fact that, as I talked about yesterday, they're shooting Fast and Furious 10 Part 1 and Part 2 starting in January of next year, which means that realistically, he won't even be able to get to Riddick until sometime in 2023 or 2024. So we're not going to see the movie for a very, very, very long time. Now, what I think they should do, if you want my honest opinion, is use the volume technology, the stagecraft tech that Mandalorian uses. If they're going to be shooting this mostly on green screen anyway, might as well use that amazing technology to really kind of take it to new levels. And if David Twohy is directing it, I really believe he'll be able to maximize it to the best of its ability, because that guy tends to really know how to, I think, really kind of craft a story with a modest enough budget, and to make a real nice world building experience, which I think is what really a lot of fans want. And with any luck, we'll get more Riddick in the next couple years, because I really wouldn't mind going back into that world. And if the Fast and Furious franchise is wrapping up, now is the time to really ramp up more of Riddick, but this time take their time with it, tell an interesting, compelling story with really good characters, and build the world up into something that doesn't feel like a standalone D&D campaign. But that's just my take on it. Curious to know your thoughts, so let me know down in the comment section. And finally today, this is the big one. This has been talked about just a couple days ago. I didn't see this making the rounds, which is why I want to talk about it. But apparently, Simon Pegg is now back in the sci-fi adaptation business, because he's apparently going to be tackling a television adaptation of Galaxy Quest. This has been a long gestating project through a number of different talents and directors. If you guys recall, it has been over 20 years since Galaxy Quest came out. I was recently watching it on Amazon, and that movie is still hysterical, and it still absolutely holds up in my opinion. And so I think at this point, what we're going to be seeing is a very interesting take on it, because I like the way that Simon Pegg tackled Star Trek Beyond when he wrote the screenplay for that. I know a lot of people out there didn't really care for Star Trek Beyond, but I think it kind of worked out pretty well. And this actually is coming off of the heels from the last time we got any kind of information about Galaxy Quest, which was a couple of years ago, when comedian Paul Schreier, I think his name is, he was going to be tackling the project by turning it into a television series for Amazon, right? They wanted to work on it. Tim Allen was heavily involved in it, at least wanting to do it. The rest of the cast was wanting to do it. They were actually planning on doing a sequel before Alan Rickman sadly passed away in 2016. And the way that Paul was going to be working on the Amazon show was that it was going to be kind of two timelines, where you had the original cast and then you had like the new cast. And the new cast was like a reboot of the show, I think, kind of like J.J. Abrams' Star Trek. The Kelvin timeline meets the Prime timeline, and it was going to follow both teams, and then that they would intersect at the end of the season, which I get, because the idea was, meant to be talking about like the nostalgic meets the contemporary, and to see how you would have those kind of like butting heads and those kind of conflicts. But I'm kind of okay with it having gone away. Now, when it comes to what Simon Pegg is up to, details are relatively sparse at the moment, but he is working on a script right now, and hopefully we will see something move forward with this. I would love to see something good come out of the Galaxy Quest franchise. And I don't want a reboot. I don't want a remake. I understand that the loss of Alan Rickman is something that is completely unavoidable, as well as something you cannot replicate in the slightest. And I don't even want them to try, but I want them to bring everybody back and to really try to tell that kind of story again. Because I know people have grown up watching Galaxy Quest and it being something that people viewed as a Star Trek spoof, but in reality, it kind of became its own little thing in its own little kind of pocket cult, community. But it's still a fun movie to watch. In fact, when Bill and Ted Face the Music was announced as being going into production, and that Dean Parasot was the director, I was really happy because Dean Parasot directed Galaxy Quest. And when I saw Bill and Ted 3, I was very happy with Bill and Ted 3. Yes, it was very simple, but I think it worked, and the elements that I felt worked really well in Galaxy Quest worked really well in Bill and Ted 3. So I'm hoping that Simon Pegg will be able to take a bit of that and really kind of put it into something that will work out well for trying to spoof the Star Trek brand and spoof where it's been for the past 20 years. Obviously with the Kelvin timeline and now Star Trek Discovery, and how there's a lot of conflict within the fandom. All of that could easily be explored and heavily mocked. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the concept that Simon Pegg is working on has a lot to do with Galaxy Quest hitting a certain point of popularity coming off of what we saw at the end of the movie 20 years ago, and then the fandom not wanting to really evolve with that particular show and wanting to keep it in the nostalgic and really hating anything new like a reboot or a reimagining, because let's face it, that is pretty indicative of where we find ourselves now with fandoms. And the thing is, Simon Pegg has actually gone out there and talked about how he thinks that it's kind of infantile to have so much dedication and craziness coming out of these particular fandoms and how people act sometimes. He said this during the production, I believe, or the pre-production, or maybe maybe it was the press tour for Star Trek Beyond, and it was something that did piss off a lot of people because it felt like he was attacking the Star Trek fan base. And I think this is the kind of place where he might test out that theory. And if you ever pay attention to things like the Fandom Menace here on YouTube and people who just sell you negativity for profit, obviously you're going to see a fair amount of that in there. But like I said, we have a long way to go until this thing even comes to fruition, but I'm excited to see how it turns out because I just really want to go back into that world, and I hope you guys do too. But as always, let me know your thoughts down below. So let's talk about this final story today. And this is not even necessarily like movie related. It is kind of, but it's also kind of culture war related. And I talked about this a little bit on the Hollywood After Dark live stream last night. We talked about the renaming of the Slave-1 ship, Boba Fett's Starfighter is what they're calling it now, or Boba Fett's Starship, I believe could also be an alternative title that's being put out there for the Lego version of the ship. And it's, look, people are losing their mind over it. They're freaking out over it. They're going insane over it. But here's the thing. They're not removing Slave-1 from the Star Wars database, right? They're not taking away the name of the ship. It's always going to be Slave-1. When they sell it to kids, they're just saying it's Boba Fett Starship. The kids who are going to watch Mandalorian or watch the Book of Boba Fett or watch the Clone Wars that are going to see Boba Fett, they're going to see the iconic ship, and they're going to go, okay, cool, I want that. They're not necessarily going to know the names, but you, me, and other people that are, I guess you could say, like the informed ones in regards to the Star Wars fandom, we're the ones that are going to know exactly what it is. And so people who are losing their mind over this, once again, are doing it from a very emotional place. They're not doing it from anything other than just trying to react to something to get you mad to make them money. That's really about it. This is like the Mr. Potato Head situation from a few months ago. All they did is drop the Mr. from the packaging, but the character is still Mr. Potato Head. The Mrs. Potato Head is still Mrs. Potato Head. They just dropped the Mr. from the branding, and that was really about it. It's as much of a non-controversy as it could be in this day and age, but like I said, when it's a slow news day, people will push whatever agenda that they can, because that, of course, is just how we operate, especially in this particular space. It's not a big deal. But I will tell you what is cool though, that damn Lego set looks pretty badass, and it's only $50. So I think I'm probably gonna have to go pick that up, and I'm just gonna put it right on my wall or something, or on my shelf, and be like, that's the Slave-1. and that is awesome, and I want it, and I can't wait for Book of Boba to come out this year, and I can't wait for more information coming out of the Bad Batch, whether or not we're going to get a little bit of a Boba Fett on that one, which I think we're kind of aiming towards that, but that's some spoiler territory stuff, and I don't want to ruin anything like that for you guys just yet. So, but that actually wraps up today's episode of the show. If you guys want to leave your comments and your thoughts and your opinions, I would greatly be appreciated on that one. And if you want to help support the channel, support what I do here, if you like these kind of bite-sized news rundowns as well as the longer form live streams we have at night, please become a channel member. You guys are the lifeblood of what I do here, and I wouldn't be able to do it without you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And you get your name on this nice fancy list. So you can get your name right here next to people like Saggy Melons or H-Barts or my own father, because you know what? Nothing says I love you, son, like becoming a channel member. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. I'll see ya, and peace out.